Hello folks, in today's video we are going to see how to secure your S3 bucket and how to secure the objects or files which are kept in your S3 bucket. Now AWS provides multiple ways to secure your data. One of the ways is encrypting the data, which is also called server-side encryption. We have seen that in the properties section. Now the other ways to secure your data is using access control list and using bucket policies. So we'll see these two mechanisms in this video. So open your S3 bucket and let's go to the permission section. Now here we can find the access control list, which is the default page here. Now if you remember, when you created the bucket, it asked us that what kind of permission you want to give to people, maybe different AWS account, to the public in general, or to the other users. Now whatever permission we have given there, we can see it here as access control list. So right now the owner of the bucket has got permission to list objects, to write objects, to read bucket permission, and to write bucket permission. So here these are the four dimensions based on which you can change that who can access what. So list object means can you see that there is that object or the file. Write objects means can you change that particular file or object. Read bucket permission means can you see that what is the permission given to the bucket itself. And write bucket permission means can you change the permission which is given to the bucket. So by default the owner has all the permissions. You can see it here. If you want to give access to this bucket to some other AWS account, to maybe your friend's account, or it may be a different team's account, you have to add the account. You have to provide the account ID of that particular AWS account, and once you give this, you have to select that what kind of level of access you are going to provide to that guy. So I'm not going to do that, so I'm cancelling it. Now what about anonymous users, so public in general? So if you want to make this bucket say readable from everyone, so you just click here and this blade will appear here. Whatever level of access you want to give to the public, you can give here. So suppose I just want them to read this, so I'll just give list objects and I can save it. As soon as I save it, you see the permission here becomes public. So in normal cases, you wouldn't like to make your bucket itself public because you are then giving access to everyone to read the data which is in your bucket. Now as a part of logging, we know that we give S3 log delivery group write access if you want to save the access logs in this particular bucket. So just for the safety, I am going to invoke this read access from the bucket. So I'll go to public access. I don't want people to read my files, so I'll just remove it and save it. Now the public has gone from here. Now the second approach is your bucket policy. Bucket policy is used to give more finer and granular control to the users or to the clients who want to access the object or the bucket here. So let's go and see how does bucket policy looks like. Now this is some sample bucket policy. This policy I've created to allow anyone to have access to these two actions, get object and get object access control list. Now if you see this policy, it has multiple components. First one is statement ID. Effect is what effect you want to bring, allow or deny. Then there comes the principles. Principal could be a particular service, it could be a particular IAM user, it could be another application. So basically principal means the agent who is trying to access this particular bucket. Then what actions you are going to allow or deny. In this particular case, what action you are going to allow to each principal. Star means here that everyone. Now this effect and this action you are going to allow on what resource. Resource here generally means the files or the folders or the bucket itself. Now to provide the real name of a particular resource, you would use AWS resource namespace. Also in short, it's called ARN. So basically whenever you create a resource on bucket or in general in AWS, it gets a unique name. Suppose when you upload a file on AWS or on S3 bucket, ARN name for that file looks something like this: ARN :AWS :S3 :: the bucket name / the folder name /star. So here we are saying that for all the files which are there in my files named folder, you can also give something like this. So if you want to apply this for the whole bucket, you can give something like this. If you want to apply it only for the my files folder, then you have to write here my files /star. Now you can put additional condition here. You can say here that only if the source IP is equal to this. So the principal, who is actually anonymous, which can be everyone, if he is having IP address equal to this, then only he is allowed to do these two actions on your S3 objects. So to sum it up, bucket policy is written in JSON syntax. If you know JSON syntax and if you know exactly how to write bucket policy, you can write it here manually as well. However, if you don't know how the JSON files are written, then you can use tool like policy generator. You can go here and suppose you want to generate similar policy. Go to policy generator, select here S3 bucket policy, effect is allow, principal in this case is star, which means everyone, service it's for S3, so of course you can't change it. Action, in the action it will show you all the actions of S3. Now suppose we want get object and get object ACL. So here you get it, get object and get object ACL. You can select these actions based on your need. Now here you have to give exactly for what object or what folder or what bucket you want to achieve this. Where do you want to apply this particular policy? So you have to write this in an ARN name format, ARN:AWS S3 triple colon and then the bucket name. So suppose I want to do it for EdYoda bucket. Within that, suppose I want it for my files folder. My files is the folder name /star, which means for all the files in this particular folder. Now I also want to add a condition that if the source IP is a particular IP address, then only allow this. So add condition, which is by the way optional, IP address, source IP. I can give here IP address whatever I want to allow, 10.20.3.25.54, add condition, and then finally add statement. Now you can add multiple statements here, but one is enough for simplicity purposes. So click on generate policy and it will create the text something like this. Now if you see, this is similar to what we have already created in our S3 bucket policy. The order of these elements doesn't matter in a JSON document. So if you agree to this, you can just save it. So based on what is the need of your bucket, what kind of access you want to provide to your bucket and the objects written in it, you will be writing your bucket policies. Then under the permission itself, you have got something called CORS configuration. Now this is mainly for web developers. So this configuration you need to do when you are creating a web application and that needs a cross origin resource access. So that's all in this S3 security lesson. We'll see you in the next video.